Timothy Booth here with thejazzbox.ca. We're just going to do a little quick interview with you about your latest album that you put out in November.
Great.
And of course, you've got another one that you're working on right now. So, I'll ask you a few questions about that. What's the name of the album?
The one we released last year is called Ashes.
Great. And what's the name of some of the tunes that are on the album?
Got number 3. That's the name of the tune. Number 3. Ashes is also one of the tunes. Nathan Phillips Square. Go To Cola. Volcano Waltz. The Upstanding Translator.
Great. And who are the sidemen on your album?
Some amazing players. Paul Metcalf on tenor saxophone. On bass, Carly Howell. On piano, we recorded with Matt Newton. And on drums, Dave Chan.
Cool. And tell me a little bit about, they're all original compositions by you?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me tell me a little bit about how you go about writing a tune.
Sure. I'd say it's a pretty simple process, at least at the beginning. I'll just have a melody in my head, and I will have no idea where it will come from, but it's just there, so I'll feel compelled to write it down, which is kind of why I decided to do the album in the first place.
Well, that's interesting because I hear other guys talking about it, and some of them they come up with like a set of chord changes or something occurs to them first, and then they start writing a melody to it. And that's interesting that and the other guys I hear, they say the same as you. They come up with a melody and then they work on the changes later.
Yeah. Well, I think at the beginning it always starts with a melody, but then once I arrange it, then I'll be a little flexible with the melody if there's a certain idea that I have for the chord changes, and usually in the bridge, because I write a lot of the songs in AABA form. Mm-hmm. And so in the bridge, it'll either be like a completely different melody, or sometimes I'll just modulate the melody into a different key signature or a different time signature, that sort of thing. So if I'm doing that, if I'm modulating, then that idea is more centered around the chord changes. But it always starts with the melody that just kind of comes into my head. It's usually not a chord progression that's the starting point.
Interesting. Cool. Now I wanted to ask you about are they any of these tunes about something? Let's say the tune Ash is the title track on the album. Is there a concept around that tune?
Well, every tune actually has a story to it.
Tell us the story about that one tune.
Yeah, so Ashes actually came from a song that I performed with an experimental music group a few years before making this album. That group was called the C.S. Field Trio, and so very experimental. It was me playing jazz trumpet, and then we had a beatboxer and percussionist, and then a spoken word artist, so a poet who would recite his work, and then the beatboxer and I would kind of do our thing in the background, and we spent a lot of time arranging each piece so the music, if you can call it that, kind of fit into and around whatever the spoken word artist was doing. So it was kind of cool. And one of the poems was called Ashes, and it was a story about some kids who were traveling across the U.S. to spread the ashes of one of their past brothers, in the ocean. So that was the story behind the poem. And I came up with a melody while we were writing the piece for the C.S. Field Trio. And it seemed like a melody that I could easily put into a tune with the jazz quintet. So I just worked on it and changed it a little bit, and then arranged it and wrote a bridge for the tune also. And that's how it came up with Ashes.
That's an interesting story about how it originated. Well, let's just talk a little bit about this album that you're recording right now. Does it have a name?
It does not yet.
Not yet.
We're right in the early stages of it. I'm not sure exactly which tunes are going to be on the full album, because since recording Ashes, I've written a whole bunch more tunes, and way more than will fit on just one album. So I'm gonna have to wait until a later stage to find out exactly what it's gonna be called.
So do you have some of the names of the tunes? Same
Yeah,
band,
so
right? Same guys in the band.
almost. We have, instead of Matt Newton playing piano, it's Terry Parker. And since releasing Ashes, we've been playing with Terry quite a bit. Well, as much as she's available. So it's been really amazing having Terry in the band. Uh, and and also on the album we've got Kevin Liberté on guitar.
Oh yeah, guitar player. Yeah, great.
Yeah, he's amazing, and I write the tunes on guitar. So
you play guitar as well.
Well, I play the guitar well enough to be able to write tunes.
Okay, good.
I can do the chords and stuff like that, and occasionally I'll attempt a melody, and when I get it wrong, sometimes sometimes it comes out all right, but it usually is terrible. So I play the trumpet and I write the tunes on the guitar, and that's about as much as I'll say about the guitar. But there is the tunes have they've got like a flamenco. Some of them have a flamenco feel to them, but I always hear them with guitar, and so I've always wanted to work in guitar into the recordings, and into the performances if we can do that.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. So you're going to be incorporating a little bit of other style of music like flamenco into these tunes. Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's Kevin's style, and I'll explain to him my concept for the song, and he picks up on it right away. And I think that his style, what he gravitates towards, fits perfectly into the ideas of the songs that I have. Well, so the one we've already done, or we started recording last week. It's going to be a bit of a process to finish them up, but we recorded a tune called Intersection. A tune called El Sótano, which is it's like a samba that's very flamenco-y also. And what else? Intersection, El Sótano, and and Rush Mode. Yeah, that's an exciting tune to play always.
So, sounds like a really interesting concept. I love it when people use other influences and bring them in to create something fresh and new. That'll be awesome. Okay, Mike, that's really great. I just wanted to also let everybody know that we are launching September 15th. I'm really excited about that, thejazzbox.ca. If you want to find out more about that, you can go to thejazzbox.wordpress.com. That's our blog that we have right up on there. And Mike is up on there, a little blurb about Mike as well, and an example of one of his tunes. Actually, I think it's a video from... it's the video about the album Ashes that's up on the blog. So that's it for today, and thanks a lot, Mike. And we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, take care.